We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Nick. Nick recently moved his modem and router. That never do the thing that you just said that you did. Don't ever do that. Let me tell you something about modems and routers. They are fickle beasts. They are like magical creatures that cannot be touched. If you don't even look at them. Like, don't look at them. My funniest thing the other day. So my wife and I are having this. She's like, "Oh, I have to do whatever the power and the computer's real slow. So you have to unplug this thing back here and plug it back in." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, the other day, the thing was slow, so I unplugged the router, I unplugged the modem, and plugged it back in, and I came over here and it still wasn't working. So I took this other device that's back here and unplugged that and plugged it back in. Well, the other device that's back there is this what we used to use on our other computer that didn't have Wi-Fi. You plug it into there, and then that would connect, and it was kind of an extender. Well, we don't need that anymore, so it's not connected. I mean, literally has no cables going to it except for the power cable.
Yep.
None. And she's like, "Oh, you have to unplug it." I'm like, "No, it doesn't do anything." She goes, "It works though." I'm like, "This is causation. Correlation does not equal causation." Sort of moment, my love. That's not what's happening here. Literally, no cables are going to this thing. Wave your magic wand someplace else. Anyway, so don't ever do what you did, Nick. But it's too late for that now. Anyways, this required he moved his modem and his router. It required him to unplug them, and plug them back into their new location. That went fine except for his Roku. He's using a wired Ethernet connection, but the Roku couldn't find the network. He tried calling tech support for every box involved, but nobody had a solution. Then after 5 days, the Roku magically reconnected, and it's been fine so far ever since.
Yeah.
Story goes on. After that, his area had a thunderstorm and he lost power for a short while. When the power came back on, none of his Wi-Fi devices could find the network. Power cycling, the modem, router, and every device eventually got them to reconnect, but it was quite a hassle. Seems as though a loss of power was something that both problems had in common. So Nick would like to know if we recommend using a battery backup UPS on modems and routers, and if so, are the APC backup UPSs a good choice? Well, the answer to the second part is yes. They're a very good choice because they are very good. But honestly, I swear, the number of times I've had to fight with these modems and routers about things, and it literally is once it works, stop touching it and leave it alone. And a lot of times it is how you cycle them on, how you power them on, and what happens during that. And it does seem to be quite the thing. And all the network guys that I've talked to in the past, and I ask them a question about it, they're like, "I don't know." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know?" Like I don't know. I'm like, "What would you do if you were at my house?" He goes, "I'd start unplugging stuff and plugging it back in." I'm like, "Well, that's what I do. What do they pay you for?" Like, "Well, I do it with really big stuff, like at schools." I'm like, what? But seriously, yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you, if an APC backup UPS or an uninterruptible power supply is going to solve this problem. I don't know that it's going to click on fast enough to stop the power cycle from happening.
I do.
Do you?
Because I absolutely have battery backup on my modem and my I use an Asus Wi-Fi router, and I have frequent power outages in my area because they're always doing construction around where I live, so they're always cutting out the power here, and anytime the wind picks up, the power goes out. So I have frequent power outages here. I 100% keep a battery backup on my network devices, and it kicks in and it works. It just keeps working. Power goes out. Good. I've still got laptop battery, and my internet doesn't go down. So I'm very pleased with mine. The back UPS units are great. Like, if your power outages are not that frequent, and when they do happen, they're not terribly long, because the back UPS units don't have huge batteries. Right. So it's not going to run for hours and hours. But if you're talking an hour or less, they can get you through that, because routers and modems don't use a tremendous amount of electricity. And if that's all you have plugged into a back UPS unit, it's absolutely worth having, in my opinion, because they're not super expensive. Yeah. They're not outlandish at all. So to me, they're totally worth it. Now, if your moving your modem and router to another part of your house, you're going to have to unplug them. Although I guess if you already had them plugged into a battery, you could take the whole thing and never have them lose power. But at some point, something's going to get unplugged. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a bulletproof way of making sure you never lose network connection either, because I mean, when you unplug your router, when you plug it back in, sometimes it tries to assign new IP addresses to every device in your network. And if the other devices aren't actively updating their IP address, they're still like, no, I'm this old IP address, and they don't talk to each other until you power cycle.
Yep.
Both of them, right? Which just seems like exactly what he did.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's really anything simpler.
That's kind of what happened with that Roku. I'm guessing that's what kind of happened with it.
Yeah, lost its IP address.
And
took
just
a while.
sort of, and that 5-day thing is just sort of like, I don't know. And then just, it at some point decided, oh, I guess I should. I mean, I hate to give these things like human-like traits, but it does seem that way sometimes.
I know. They seem finicky. Yeah, I got to say, I don't have a Roku myself, but my parents do. I got them a Roku so they could watch Netflix easily. Now, they never turn off their modem. They never turn off their Wi-Fi router. They never turn off their Roku. Whenever I go there, I always just reset the Roku. Like, I just go into the settings and manually restart it because it loses its Wi-Fi connection for no reason. No reason. Or the Wi-Fi connection is working fine, but it just will not log into Netflix or YouTube. Like, it just refuses to log in, and yet you cycle the power, you just reset it, restart it, and
my Xbox One does that every once in a while, where it just decides YouTube's going, nope, I don't know who you are. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know.
I was just watching you. I just was watching you, like literally, and then I changed to watch something else, and then now you don't know who I am anymore. I'm like, that's terrible. So he asks, aside from adding a battery, any ideas on how to minimize these network connection problems in the future? Well, my network problems I was having, that in the way I fixed it, was buying a much better router.
Yeah.
Spending money on a router and making the whatever piece of crap thing they gave you from the cable company or whatever it is, or whoever you're getting your internet from, turning that into a very dumb modem and having it do nothing but connect to the internet and send the signal along, and then everything else is done by the really good router. Has made all the difference. My wife power cycles it all the time because she's a crazy person, but I think I have power cycled it once. We bought that a year ago. I think it was close to a year ago that I bought that.
So I've been a fan of Asus when it comes to router. Mine's been rock solid, and as long as I'm using Asus network adapters, like any of the PCs that I built, my desktop models or my home theater PC, I just put an Asus NIC in there, and it's been rock solid. Even with power outages and cycling and all kinds of stuff, I've had no connection issues with that. So it does make some difference, just buying the cheapest router out there. It'll probably function, but it might have issues. Like,
that's exactly what happened with my
aunt got a really cheap one, and she always has problems.
Yeah, that network extender thing I bought was like $40, and it's garbage. Yeah. It is hot trash. I mean, I could always tell whenever I was connected to that thing because I would lose the internet. I'm like, it says I'm connected, but I can't do anything, and I stopped using it because of that. If you're going to do this, if you really want to make sure, you're going to be spending around $100. And when I say around, I mean $100 or more on a good router. You're not going to be spending $80. You're not going to be spending $75.
But if you're bothered by this hassle, it's worth it. It's worth it to not have the headache. So
you don't even know. Yes, it is so worth it. I was resistant for a really long time, but I'm glad I did. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.